9 News at noon starts right now.
As many as 10,000 King Soopers employees from 77 stores in the metro area now on strike for the next 2 weeks, but stores will stay open as the two sides go back and forth with accusations. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sam Shocker. Now, employees were off the job starting this morning at 5 a.m. at stores throughout Adams, Arapahoe, Broomfield, Denver, Douglas, and Jefferson counties, along with Boulder and Louisville. Union officials have said they are striking for better pay and increased staffing, but they have also accused King Soopers of labor violations. However, the King Soopers president said, quote, "We are deeply concerned for our associates who are being misled into a work stoppage that doesn't serve their best interests. This also harms our customers who will face higher prices at Safeway, often 10 to 12% more, or have to shop at non-union competitors." We'll have more from King Soopers officials on camera later today, but right now, union officials are holding a news conference to further address the message that they're sending with the strike. We're going to listen in for a moment.
Its own executives were forced to admit that Kroger has been price gouging on essential items like eggs. Customers are paying the high price of additional costs because of this failed merger through higher prices, and workers are paying the price through cuts in their hours. Here in Colorado, Kroger has cut hours in its own stores by over 18% since 2019. We went from the pandemic where the company made more money than they've ever made before, and yet we've seen since 2019 they continue to make record profits, but they are reducing staff in these stores. So the company is also
now, we heard just a little bit from that presser. She was describing the failed merger and how Kroger has cut hours to make up the difference in some of those costs affecting their workers. Well, 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon went a little deeper on the impact to customers, hearing from a supply chain management professor at DU.
Starting today, some King Soopers locations will temporarily run on shortened hours while it's happening, according to the company. King Soopers says they've hired temporary workers to keep the stores open. Attorney General Phil Weiser will be keeping an eye on this strike. He filed a lawsuit in relation to the 2022 King Soopers strike, which lasted 9 days. During that time, shelves at unionized King Soopers emptied. In a suit to block the Kroger-Albertsons merger, he claimed the two companies colluded during that strike to not poach employees or pharmacy customers across picket lines. They're still waiting for a ruling. Jack Buffington is a supply chain management professor at DU's business school. He says this strike will have its impact on customers.
When stores go on strike, it reduces the amount of supply that's out in the network, which makes, like a shortage of a certain thing like eggs or something even more of a problem. So it just becomes this, snowball that is a greater, it's much bigger than it was in 22, in my opinion.
The union says this strike covers 10,000 workers across 77 stores. In Arvada, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Courtney, thank you. And again, you'll hear more from King Soopers and the union later today on 9 News. And breaking news at noon, a federal judge in Boston has temporarily blocked President Donald Trump's plan to purge federal employees by offering buyouts. The injunction pauses the plan until at least Monday, when the judge has a hearing scheduled to listen to arguments. The deadline for those employees to accept a buyout through the deferred resignation program was initially slated for the end of the day. So far, NBC News reports more than 60,000 federal employees have already accepted the offer. They now need to be notified that the program has been paused until Monday. Elon Musk is leading President Trump's charge to reshape the federal government, but there's been an uproar over the billionaire advisor gaining access to everyone's personal data. As NBC's Ryan Nobles reports, the White House has heard the uproar and is now making changes.
Overnight, the Trump administration pressured to hit the pause button, agreeing to temporarily restrict the access of Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, to the Treasury Department's sprawling payment system.
He's done a great job.
But Treasury is just one part of Musk's plan, which includes changing parts of the government that directly impact millions of Americans. Overnight, the agency in charge of Medicare and Medicaid confirming it's working with DOGE to, they say, find ways to use resources more efficiently, quote, in line with meeting the goals of President Trump. Musk had tweeted of the agency, "This is where the big money fraud is happening." And the Trump administration also potentially shaking up the intelligence community, offering buyouts at the National Security Agency and at the CIA. which recently sent an unclassified email with a list of all employees recently hired, including first names and last initials, to comply with the White House's goal of staff reductions, according to a U.S. official.
We've put a lot of people needlessly at risk here.
Republicans arguing Musk's work is merely a necessary review.
I think they're doing right by the American taxpayer.
The most dramatic change so far, the U.S. Agency for International Development, effectively shut down. Yesterday, billionaire Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates heading to the White House to meet with President Trump, later telling Savannah he made the case for foreign humanitarian assistance and USAID.
You know, I know all the development agencies of all the countries, and this is the best of them.
Did they seem receptive? Did the president seem receptive? Did Susie Wiles seem receptive?
I hope so.
With protests nationwide over the early Trump administration policies, Democrats saying their constituents are concerned about Musk.
We need to shut down the Musk operation.
Republicans argue this is Donald Trump making good on his campaign pledge.
He is delivering on his promise made to the American people.
Ryan Nobles, thank you. The battle over existing funding is setting up for a much bigger fight over the long-term federal budget. The government is again set to run out of money on March 14th and will require bipartisan approval to keep the government open. Now, yesterday at this time, federal agents were conducting raids across Denver and Aurora, but today we still don't know just how many people were detained. The agents hit at least 7 locations across the metro area, mostly apartment complexes and even a mobile home community. ICE said the plan was to target more than 100 members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. As of last night, the agency said there was one arrest of a suspected TDA member wanted for a crime committed to another country, or in another country rather. Witnesses in some locations said it was more than just a targeting of suspected gang members. And video did show agents went door to door asking people to present identification. We're still working to get more on the impact of the raids, and we'll have continuing coverage later today on 9 News. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston will testify before a House Oversight Committee next month about Denver being a sanctuary city. The committee also sent invitations to several other mayors, saying it's launching an investigation into sanctuary city policies and the impact on public safety. Mayor Johnston was not subpoenaed, but accepted the invitation to speak March 5th. Well, on another note, no weather worries out there today. Nice blue skies, look at that. But there are some big weather events, of course, on the horizon. Joining me now, Corey Reppenhagen, very busy with our 9 News Weather Impact team. I was already picking your brain about some polar vortex coming in. Come on, what's going on, Corey?
Yeah, unfortunately, polar vortex is going to send another Arctic cold front our way. We're basically looking at 2 days of warm sunshine, blue skies, and then the weekend we start to get into a cold pattern, and then by next week we could be talking about polar vortex stuff. So enjoy the next couple of days, including this day out here on the Northern Front Range. Lots of blue skies here. Temperatures starting to climb out of the 40s now. You can see Mount Blue Sky under a bunch of blue sky right now. 44 degrees here at the 9 News studios, 40s across most of the Denver metro area. Here's the rest of the day here. We should be able to squeeze out another 10 degrees or so out of the warming today, staying sunny and then clear all the way into the night tonight. So the weather impact headlines here. Friday is going to be very warm into the middle to upper 60s, but it will come with a bit of a breeze for tomorrow, and then snow coming on Saturday morning. A lot of us will probably have to shovel our driveways on Saturday morning, and then an Arctic cold front is coming to start next week, and that does involve some polar vortex stuff. We'll talk about that in the forecast.